And we are live. Hey, good morning, everybody. Monday. Here we go. Geez, I didn't do anything yesterday as far as I didn't put a video out yesterday. It feels kind of weird, honestly. I missed one day and it feels like it's been a week. Kind of trying to get my bearings right, get everything restarted. Know what I'm trying to put out there for you guys today. And I got my list. I got what I'm supposed to be doing. It's going to be an interesting kind of show today. I got a few things for you. It's mostly history related, which I find fascinating. History tells us a lot about where we are today, where we stand, why we are here, what has happened in the past, and what has led us up to where we are now. So it's always a good thing to kind of go back and look at those types of things. I'm always fascinated with history. There's so many teachings and things like that we can go back to and use. I always use things that are literally 2,400 years old, between Buddha, the Greeks, Taoism, and all of that. It's amazing. A lot of the teachings that happened in the past have really set up society for where we are, and none of that's really changed, no matter how much we've advanced as a society with technology and things like that. It's actually a lot of it, because of technology, because we've advanced so much as a society, we've forgotten the basic principles of life. And to me, it's so important to kind of remember those things. And during a time of something like this, where we're kind of forced to go back into our homes and maybe we're sitting watching TV and we're on our phones and we're on our iPads and we're involved in technology, listening to music or whatever. It's really just a distraction from ourself and who we are. And, we have to go back into history to kind of remember why we're here and what we're doing here and what we're supposed to be doing with our lives. So anyway, I'm going to get you set up with that. Before we get there, I got to do my morning prayer because it's so important to me to get that set up. So we're really in the right mind and focused and sending the right energy out there, because we really need to do that for people. We need to vibrate that positive energy, that positive love. I was talking to my mom this morning, and that's what she was saying. She's saying, how we really are created from love and by love, and we are love. Like, that's who we are. That's who we're meant to be, and that's who we're supposed to be. And we enter this world basically because of love. Like, it's a loving interaction. Obviously, there's some people that, there's rape and things like that where a woman is forced to, maybe give birth to a child that she doesn't want. And that maybe wasn't created by love, but I would say for the most part, most children are born out of love, and that's what creates them. That's that God send that connects us, and the sperm to the egg, really. And so we come from love, and that's what we're here on this earth for. And it's such a simple thing to really understand and practice, but it's such a hard thing to do when you're distracted by society and what's really going on out there. So anyway, let's set that up. I told you I wanted to start with my Bible here first, which is the Wayne Dyer Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, which is based on the Taoism. We're got 81 verses to go through, so that's 81 days. We're on day 2. I did my first one on Saturday, and I want to do the second one today, and then we can kind of get the prayer set up and do that and get our mind right. So second verse, Wayne Dyer calls it living the paradoxical unity. And so the second verse goes like this. This was written by Lao Tzu 2,400 years ago. Under heaven, all can see beauty as beauty, only because there is ugliness. All can know good as good, only because there is evil. Being and non-being produce each other. The difficult is born in the easy. Long is defined by short, the high by the low. Before and after go along with each other. So the sage lives openly with apparent duality and paradoxical unity. The sage can act without effort and teach without words. Nurturing things without possessing them, he works, but not for rewards. He competes, but not for results. When the work is done, it is forgotten. That is why it lasts forever. paradox is one thing that is more or less the opposite of the other, which is pretty much what this explains, that we wouldn't know good without evil, and we wouldn't know evil without good. And they are mutually inclusive. They need each other to exist. We couldn't, you couldn't have a ripple effect without a stone hitting the water. You can't have violence unless there's nonviolence. And that's why it's so important to practice nonviolence. That's what MLK talked about, because there's so much violence out there. Hate begets hate, love begets love. And there's enough hate out there that we can swing that pendulum back by using the universal love that we are, and that is God, that is the universe, that is the oneness, that is the Tao, that is how we are created, and that is how we're supposed to exist. That is what we are meant for. It is easy to do things that are maybe not morally correct. It's to a degree, those things can be rewarding, by stealing from people, by cheating people, or doing things that are bad deeds, by cheating people of something. Those are easy things to do, but it's almost it's something happens in that act when we do something that's not kind and not good, or good integrity or good morals, where it's not karma, but it comes back to us in the end. When we act poorly, or we do something poorly to somebody, it comes back to us. It's like a boomerang. And the same can be said when you have love, and when you give love, it comes back to you. I actually used the reference recently. It's a lot like basketball, where a player that never passes, and whenever they get it, they shoot. People eventually stop passing it to them, because they know if they pass it to this person, they never get the ball back. Whereas conversely, a person or a player who passes all the time, they might get a lot more assists, but they also get the ball back a lot, because people know, their teammates know, they're going to get the ball from them again. Like, they give it to them, they're going to get it back. It's the give and go, right? And people want to play with people like that. Like, I don't want to play with a person that's called a black hole. I mean, that's the term in basketball, is they're called a black hole, because you pass it to them and you never get it back. They just shoot into a black hole. And it's like, no one wants to play with that guy. I stopped being interested in playing the game. I played with people like that, and they're my teammate. And I'm like, I turn into that person. It's like, I'm not passing to them. I'd rather shoot it than pass to that person. I'd rather throw it out of bounds than pass it to that person. I'd rather have a turnover, right, than pass to that person. Because it's like, well, what's the fun in watching somebody else have all the glory, take all the shots? I mean, sure, if they've got a hot hand, I'm 100% riding that person on their hot hand until they go cold. If I was a coach and I got a player who's got a hot hand, it's like, yes, give them the ball. Give them the ball until they can't score anymore, until the other team can't stop them, because the purpose of the game is to score points, right? But if you got a guy who never passes it, and he's only making 30, 40% of his shots, it's like, it's time to give it up, dude. It's like Allen Iverson back in the day used to drive me nuts, because he would never pass the ball, and he would only make 30% of his shots, but he was taking 80, I shouldn't say 80 shots a game, but he was taking a lot of shots and he wasn't making very many. And it's like, man, you got teammates that are open, and you got to involve your teammates. It makes your team better. It makes the nucleus better. It's just like anything else. It's like a group of cells, right? It's like, all it takes is one bad cell to make the group of cells go all bad. And also, you got a bunch of bad cells and one good cell. That one good cell can spread that love, man, but it takes a lot of strength for that good cell to do that. Doesn't take as much work for the bad cell to infect the other cells to make them bad. So that's kind of like how it works with the whole paradox and life in general. So anyway, let's say this prayer. And like I tell you all the time, let's close our eyes and think about what we're thankful for and what we're grateful for today. And we need a lot more of that shared blessings, those shared loves for everybody that's out there right now that's struggling. Because I mean, the longer we go on with this virus shutting people down, shutting society down, the more struggle there's going to be. And so there's a lot of people out there that, they need those blessings, they need that love, they need that strength, they need that courage. And the only way we can send it to them I can't send it to them in the mail. I can't email them. They might come on YouTube. They might check out this show and it gives them strength and gives them hope. But the best way to do it, like I say, is prayer. And so that we can reach those people. I mean, I lived in the city. My brother lives in Chicago. I've lived in San Diego. I've lived in Philadelphia. I've been to Boston. I've been to Miami. I've been to a lot of cities across this country. And I can't even imagine what those people are going through right now. One of my clients, she's from New York City. And she's telling me that people are just stressed out, freaking out. People are going through some hard times right now, especially in those cities where they're quarantined and they're locked down and they're confined to their little spaces. I mean, if you know what it's like to live in a city, you know what people rent. It ain't easy. So we got to think of those people right now and give them hope, give them strength. So let's do it. Thank you, Lord, for all that we have and all the blessings that come into our life. Thank you for the home and the roof over my head, the wood stove that keeps my house warm, the water that keeps coming on with the lights, food on my table, food in my fridge, all the blessings that come to me and my friends, my family, and all my loved ones and everybody that I care about. Thank you for this life. I really appreciate it. And I want to share that love and that light with everybody else and give people strength during this time of need and give people hope that we will get through this and we will be okay. Please send them love. Amen. God bless my family. God bless yours. Let's do this. Woo! So, all right. Let's set this up. Got that out of the way. Got my numbers here. I got some data. Like I do every day, I want to give you the information on the CDC numbers. And I got some additional numbers here on deaths and things that we got to really think about with this whole shutdown. Like, I'm not going to change the way that society's going right now. I can't. There's nothing I can do. I'm not a big enough person to do that. I'm not the president of the United States or some government official or anybody that's going to make a decision on this stuff. But I am going to give us the information so that we can kind of think about what's going on, and whether what we're doing makes sense. So currently, and these are numbers from worldometers.info. It's actually a really interesting site. I just printed off a bunch of information about different things that they keep track of, and it's fascinating. So if you get a chance, go check out worldometers.info. So it's world OMETERS.info. Today, as of today, 2,490 deaths in the U.S., 142,793 confirmed cases for a death rate percentage of 1.7%. Now, that's an interesting number because there's a lot of people that get this virus that have pre-existing conditions. It's actually a commonality with the virus. So when somebody dies because they get the virus, it's legally calculated as a death by coronavirus, which of course adds to the death rate. But what's interesting is that the virus may have caused this person to die, but the person was so unhealthy that getting this virus just was it tipped the scale for these people. And your body can only handle so much, especially when you're not prepared to handle disease. Disease is dis-ease, right? So it's like we don't typically do anything about getting sick until we're sick, which is not, it's the wrong approach. Like, we need preventative measures. We need preventative care. There's no preventative care in this world. Like, nobody prepared. I mean, I shouldn't say nobody, but there's people that take care of themselves, like myself or other people, vegans and vegetarians, people that eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, take their vitamin supplements, vitamin C and things like that keep themselves healthy, keep themselves at a better nutritional balance, which is essential for preventative care. Because there's a lot of people that they start getting sick and then they start drinking tea and then they start eating fruits and vegetables, then they start taking their vitamins, then they start drinking more water. It's like, well, what were you doing before? You weren't doing preventative care. You were just going about your life, and then you get sick, and then you decide, well, I don't want to be sick. Everybody hates being sick. Nobody likes being sick. So it's like, we need to take care of ourselves before we get sick, because once you're sick, then it's harder to fight off that disease, that virus, that bacteria, whatever it is that's plaguing you. It's a lot harder to fight it off because our body isn't in a position to do it as much as if we were taking care of ourselves. So that's like kind of the point of this water is, there's been times when I maybe have slipped up and said something that I didn't mean to say, which is like, this water will help you, prevent you from doing this or cure you from doing that. And that's not the case. So I'm going to say that first and foremost. If I ever say something like that, is not my intention and maybe a slip of the tongue. The point is that our bodies take care of themselves, just like a plant does, or a raccoon does out in the wild, or a squirrel, or a bear, or any type of mammal, or any type of living thing in this world. It doesn't take medication to take care of itself. It doesn't have, its preventative maintenance for itself is eating things it's meant to eat. If it eats something it's not meant to eat, it either gets sick or dies, right? So it's like, I've used this reference before, we do it with our animals. If you change your pet's food from one company of dry food to another company of dry food, your pet most likely is going to get sick. It doesn't adjust to that new chemical imbalance of whatever that new food is. And same thing in with ourselves. The water isn't magic. It doesn't like, you got something, it doesn't cure you. It doesn't take care of anything for you. Yes, it does create a hand sanitizer and just a general sanitizer that will has been proven to destroy other viruses and bacteria on the spot better than any other bleach, ammonia, hand sanitizer that's out there against everything except for the C19 because it's never been tested. So, but it's got to be electrified. You can't bottle this stuff. Like, it only lasts for about a week, and then its effectiveness dwindles, and it doesn't work anymore. So you have to have the machine to produce this all natural hand sanitizer. That's the point. So that it does produce a hand sanitizer that is independently lab tested against other viruses and bacteria to actually work. The difference with the water and the drinking water is that it takes a couple weeks between, if you're drinking this particular water, which is electrified water, it's going to take you about 3 weeks to flush your system and flush the toxins out of your cells in your body to get yourself to a better pH level, a better cleansed level of health. So it's not the water that's curing you. It's just allowing your body to function at a better capacity. It's no different than if it's like you just eat a bunch of oranges every day. You eat your fruits and vegetables and drink your regular tap water. Would be better than whatever you've been doing before. If you're drinking a lot of soda, are you surprised you're getting sick? Or you're eating McDonald's and Subway and all these other fast food things and junk foods and chips and whatever? Are you really surprised that you're getting sick? Because I'm not. Because I know that if my body is operating at the optimum level, my body will take care of itself. So that's really what it comes down to, is preventative maintenance. It's not the water that makes you better. It's your body, when your body is taken care of. And that's the point of the water, is that it cleanses your body of all the toxins. Just like anything else, just like fruits, veggies, and regular tap water, you can do the same friggin' thing. So that's how you got to take care of yourself. If you're going to go out there and you're going to eat Doritos and you're going to eat Burger King and you're going to eat high carb, high protein diets and not a lot of vegetables, especially fresh vegetables that are not cooked, if you're not doing those types of things, you're going to get sick. It's going to happen. It's just how your body works. So take care of yourself. That's the bottom line. Take care of yourself. You don't necessarily need this machine. I think, it's an advantageous kind of thing. But if you just are going to the store and buying the right fruits and vegetables and drinking your water and not putting anything else in your body, not putting any possible toxin in your body like soda or carbonated water or whatever it is, you are giving yourself a better opportunity to live. So if you're concerned about getting sick from this virus or dying potentially from this virus, then maybe you're concerned because you haven't been taking care of yourself. So take care of yourself. That's my ploy to you. Whether you buy this water machine or not, take care of yourself first, okay? That's preventative maintenance. If you're doing that, it's still going to take you 30 to 45 days to cleanse your system. So you got 30 to 45 days to do the right thing for yourself. And what's healthcare costs? What are those? Does that, that all adds up. It all adds up. Health is expensive. So we got 2,490 deaths by the coronavirus in this country. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, that's and then 35,000 worldwide. That death rate is 4.7%. So the US death rate is 1.7. The worldwide is 4.7. The WHO claims that there's about 290,000 to 650,000 deaths per year by the flu. That's 795 deaths per day to 1,781 deaths per day. Per day from the flu, not from coronavirus, just from the flu. So based on numbers alone, we should be shutting down society every year because of the flu. That is killing more people than coronavirus. Your thing, not mine. So I had to go and look up deaths and a little bit of other interesting information that I found from the Worldometers website. World population, current world population and growing is 7,774,388,887 people. 34 million births per year, approximately 163,000 births today, 14 million deaths this year, 68,000 deaths today. Net population growth this year is 19 million, and net population growth today is 94,000. Undernourished people in the world, people that don't take care of themselves or can or are unable to, what have you. 841 million people are undernourished. Meanwhile, overweight people in the world, 1,691,000,000. Obese people in the world, 753 million. Okay, so those first three categories, and really the last two, the overweight and the obese people in this world, those people are at risk. 100%, they are at risk of this C19. They're at risk for cardiovascular disease, cancer, C19, the flu, the whole gamut of deaths that we are at risk for is because of overweight, obese people, people that are not taking care of themselves and not eating the right foods and nutrients. Meanwhile, 13,000 people died of hunger today. Money spent for obesity-related diseases. So this is preventable. This number really should be like zero in a utopian society where we're actually taking care of ourselves. We don't have all these fast food restaurants and things and places. If that were the case, and we no sodas, no junk food, no crap, if that number should be just about zero. It's $244 million every day. So far today, $244 million is spent on obesity. Money spent on weight loss programs in the USA today, $80 million a day, so far today, that people are spending on weight loss programs and how to be healthier. So like you need a program, you need a person to tell you how to be healthy, or do you need to go to the grocery store and buy the right food and drink water from your tap instead of drinking junk food, drinking monster drinks or whatever it is? I shouldn't have to tell you this. Health people shouldn't have to tell you this. This is common sense. You put the right stuff in your body, you have a better chance of survival. You have a better chance of not being obese, overweight, and getting sick. Here's an interesting one. Water. 1 billion million liters this year. 1 billion million liters of water has been used this year. 206,000 deaths caused by water-related diseases this year. And people with no access to a safe drinking water source is 802 million people don't have access to safe sanitary water, which is really interesting. I mean, we're 75% water, right? You'd think water would be pretty important in our daily life. You get it from pretty much anything, fruits, vegetables, and just regular drinking water. This is the health section. Communicable disease deaths this year, 3 million. Seasonal flu deaths this year. 119,000 people have died from seasonal flu already this year. You know how many died from coronavirus? Do you remember the number? 35,000. Flu, 119,000. Which one is the pandemic? Which one are we shutting society down for? It's like three times the deaths for flu. Deaths of children under 5 this year, 1,861,000. Abortions this year, 10 million. Deaths of mothers during birth, 75,000. These are all numbers greater than C19. HIV/AIDS infected people, 41 million. Deaths caused by HIV/AIDS, 411,000. Deaths caused by cancer this year, 2 million people died from cancer this year. Deaths by malaria, 240,000. Cigarettes smoked today, 6 billion cigarettes. Deaths caused by smoking, 1 million. When are we going to have a war on tobacco and smoking cigarettes? When are we going to shut down society for people to stop smoking? Deaths by alcohol, 612,000. When are we going to shut down society so we stop drinking alcohol? Suicides this year, 262,000. That number is only going to go up because we're shutting society down. Money spent on illegal drugs this year, $97 billion. Road traffic accident fatalities this year, 330,000 people have died from road traffic accident fatalities. When are we going to stop driving cars? Moving on. More information that's maybe not so negative, not so down on the dumps, like let's do the right thing, okay? Let's talk a little bit about history. I find this stuff so fascinating. I always relate to historical information, and I like to go back to the Romans because they were like the last really great empire. Like, you know, the United Kingdom or Britain or whatever you want to call it, they were a pretty big global empire for a while. They had the global currency up until the late 1800s, early 1900s, and then they were replaced by the U.S. And why was that? Because they had a lot of turmoil at that time in Britain, and America was up and coming. We had a lot of gold reserves, and the U.S. dollar started gaining strength during the time that Britain was struggling. So going back to the Romans, the Colosseum was built between the years 72 AD and 80 AD. And at that time, the Romans were going through a lot of societal strife. It's very similar to what's going on today. You know, we put a lot of relationships between the Roman Empire back then and to what's going on today in our society. Now, why did they build the Colosseum? Well, because they were distracting the plebs or the plebeians or the serf people like you and me who are a bunch of nobodies, from like the royalty. So the royalty decided to build this Colosseum to distract the people from what was going on, the social strife that was going on in the Roman Empire at the time, because the Roman Empire had stretched themselves too thin. And there's a lot of distrust, a lot of problems with the Roman Empire going to war and fighting wars that weren't, necessary, spending boatloads of money on those types of things and not taking care of their own people. So they built the Colosseum to distract people from what was going on in their society and give people a reason to have hope and to believe in the emperor again and to believe in the politicians and things like that. It was a way for the politicians to kind of boost up the morale for themselves and get the societal support. So Nero's death, the Emperor Nero killed himself in 68 AD, right? And that caused a lot of problems. At that time, they were having a lot of social strife with Jerusalem. So, Rome was really spread out far and wide, and they had a lot of influence across the globe. And one of the places of discontent was Jerusalem. The Jews had established some rebels who were fighting against the Roman soldiers who were in their town. And that started in 66 AD. So Nero killed himself 2 years later, and then 4 years later, they built the Colosseum. Well, in 70 AD, the Romans went back and destroyed Jerusalem and one of their famous temples. and one of the gods that they laid praise to, and basically squashed the the Jewish rebels. Um, and during that time, after Nero's death, between 68 A.D. and the next 18 months, they called it the Year of Four Emperors, when they literally had four different peoples try to step up into the emperor's role, and none of them made it. And this was, during a social strife and having that much turnover, a guy that kills himself, and then having different emperors try to take his place, and none of them really working out. They had a lot of discontent amongst their society. So what happens? They finally, what was it, Vespasian? I forget how you say his name. But anyways, he became the emperor at the time, that eventually established himself. I think it was in 69 AD. And he was part of building the Roman Colosseums because he felt like that would give people hope, help people believe in him and his ability to run the Roman Empire and establish consistency and limit the social strife that was going on, right? So how important or how symbolic is that compared to what's going on in our society today? Like, they had one Colosseum. How many football stadiums are there? How many baseball stadiums? How many basketball arenas? How many hockey arenas, tennis courts, lacrosse fields and stadiums all across this country, right? So the Roman Colosseum was used to distract the people from the social problems that were going on at the time. Well, what are sports arenas? What's Hollywood? What are movies and shows and all this stuff? I mean, everything that exists in our society today can be related back to this Roman society, but expounded upon by how much? Like I said, how many stadiums are there? So you multiply that by whatever, you end up with 1,000 times bigger. I couldn't tell you because I don't know how many stadiums are, but it's a lot, right? It's a lot. All right, so there's like 32 NFL stadiums, and there's like 32 hockey arenas, and that's just professional. That doesn't include college and semi-pro and all those other places. So we're a society that's run by being entertained, just like the Romans were, to distract them from what was really going on in their life. While the Roman politicians and rich people were gorging themselves on the plunder, right? And going around and starting wars and fighting battles that they didn't need to fight, and spending money that they didn't have, and basically living for themselves, while the plebeians were left to enjoy the entertainment that was created for them. And I think about this a lot because it's like the first $1 million contract was Nolan Ryan. I think it was around 1980. $1 million contract. And at that time, that seemed like a ludicrous amount of money to a lot of people. Well, now we're looking at players that are making $30, $40 million a year to play a sport. And you got Hollywood actors and actresses making $40, $100 million a year. I think, what was it, when Tiger Woods was at his prime, he was making $100 million a year from advertising endorsements to whatever. And so I always wondered, like, at what point do we get to like $100 million a year contract to play a friggin' sport? And where's that money come from? Money comes from promotional advertising. It comes from selling shoes, jerseys, buying tickets, all that stuff. And then, of course, the banking industry. So like I'm an Eagles fan, right? In football, they have a stadium that's named after Lincoln Financial. It's called Lincoln Financial Field. Well, Lincoln Financial is a financial group. So they have the money to spend on having their damn name on a stadium, but they don't have enough money to pay their staff more than $15 an hour. Now, there's something wrong with that picture, in my opinion. Okay, we got enough money to pay these athletes $30 million a year, but we don't have enough money to have health care for everybody. It doesn't make any sense. And so, you got NBC Sports, NBC Network that was paying Matt Lauer, what, $40 million a year, $50 million a year to give you the news? Well, something's wrong with that picture. That we pay one guy this, and it's not like real money, right? Like this guy, he might get a check, but he puts it in the bank, right? It's not cash. It's not gold. He can turn it into those things if he wants to, but he's just getting a digital number. Like, he puts into his bank account and he goes onto his computer, and there it is. It exists in a digital form, but it's not real. It's not tangible. If he went to the bank and tried to take out 50 million bucks, they couldn't give it to him. And that's just one person. You got a ton of these people walking around with this type of money. So there's no way any of these people can go to the bank, let alone the collection of them going to the bank all at once, let's say, and taking their money out. It's just a digital number on a computer screen. It ain't real. So I have to wonder, like, why is it so fake? Why is it so ballooned? And when does it stop? When do we say, you know what? We need a cutoff for how much these people are getting. Like, there's a minimum wage. Why isn't there a maximum wage? Because here's the thing. When a corporation pays out their staff, right, pays their payroll, they pay these people based on what they think they can afford and what they can give these people, these players, these broadcasters, whatever. Well, the corporation writes off that money. That's an expense to them. So they pay Matt Lauer 50 million bucks for the year. Well, that's $50 million that they don't have to pay in taxes because that's what Matt Lauer gets. So let's say we put a cap on how much somebody makes. Like Matt Lauer, $10 million is plenty. Okay, so he makes 10 million bucks and you tax Matt Lauer on his income. Whatever tax bracket you want to put him in, that's not the point. The point is that now you get $40 million that the corporation has to claim that they get taxed for. And that money gets sent back to the government where it should be. Because that money, where does that money come from that NBC makes? It comes from all the advertising promotions on their commercials, and it comes from your pocket. Because you are buying whatever commercials they're selling you. You watch the Super Bowl specifically to see the commercials. You're still going out there and buying Doritos. You're still going out there and buying Coke. You're still going out there and buying cars or whatever else it is drugs that are being promoted and sold to you. What are drugs? Drugs are A, addictive, B, not preventative care. They are treating symptoms. They're not preventing symptoms. So you're buying something to treat yourself because you're sick because of what you eat, because you're also watching the Doritos and the McDonald's and every other commercial on food that you really don't need to be putting in your body. And then you can take a drug to take care of it. And you wonder why healthcare costs are so extreme. Well, there are multiple reasons. One, because CEOs are making money, because the government, Congress is making money, because the corporations are making money, because everybody's taking a cut off of you getting sick, off the food that they're selling you, and taking the drug that they're selling you to fix the food that you're eating. It's like when they came out with the drug that helps you regulate your blood sugar. It just kills me, right? It's like you can continue to eat crap, candy, ice cream, cookies, whatever, because you have a drug to help you regulate your blood sugar. What are the side effects? Like death? I don't even know. Does it matter? No, because the simple part of this whole thing that I said earlier is that it's about preventative care. It's about putting the right food in your body now so that you don't have to take a drug later. Because how much does that cost? You're going to go to the hospital. How much do you pay for insurance so that you can go take a drug when all you had to do was eat freaking oranges and drink better water? I learned the hard way. Because typically we don't make decisions that are aggressive in change unless we're forced to, unless we're put into a crisis, unless we're sick, unless we have to change, or we're going to die, or we're going to be worse sick, or we're going to have more medical expenses, or whatever. Like my grandfather had to stop smoking because it was going to kill him, right? Or you got to stop eating Doritos or carbs or whatever it is, because if you continue to eat that, you're going to die. Well, it shouldn't get to that extreme. You need to self-regulate. Self-regulating is hard because of everything that's so addicting in our society. And that's the point. They've created an addiction to our emotions. We love sports. I love sports. I love that stuff. But I don't love paying somebody $30, $40 million a year to do it while we're struggling as a society. because that's my money and your money. They're playing in taxpayer funded stadiums. I never see that money. Like, the government gives the NFL stadium people, they give them a tax break or tax whatever. They fund them to build these stadiums. Well, I never see the tax revenue. I don't get a check. I don't get an interest check off of that, and neither do you. The government gets it, and where does it go? We have no idea. That's what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with sports. I don't have a problem with entertainment. I don't have a problem with all this stuff. I have a problem with being stolen from and being lied to, because we're being told that it's okay to, have a certain amount of red 40 in our candy because it's not going to kill us. Well, what if you eat like 15 of these pieces of candy? Now you got more red 40 in your body than what is necessary. It's a petroleum-based dye. It's a carcinogen that you're eating. It's just like makeup. Is a lot of makeup is carcinogen-based, petroleum-based that you're putting on your skin. Are we told that? Are we warned that this could cause cancer on our body? Another thing, false advertising, right? I love going and reading on a package. It says original recipe from like 1890 or 1920 or whatever. Did they use enriched flour and high fructose corn syrup in their pretzels back in 1920? No, they didn't, because it didn't exist. So that's not original recipe. That's false advertising. So are you starting to see the picture? Because the fact is, our bodies will take care of themselves if we put the right things inside of it. It also, when we do that, we're at a better connected level. All these chemicals that we're throwing into our bodies are forcing our bodies to react differently and not in a way that's natural, the way it's supposed to be. And so our mental clarity is also clouded. And that is the secret to life. It took us a long time. Like, this is one of my favorite stories. The first cup was made in like 1890, right? So we protected our balls. But the first helmet didn't come out until 1970. Which one was more important, our brain or our balls? For real. So we're learning now all about these concussions and how important our brain is. Like, are you serious? If we don't have this, we don't have the rest of this. So whatever you're eating feeds this. I'd say use your head, but damn. So I could go on and on and on. We're reaching cutoff time now, 42 minutes in. But we're talking about this very thing, a distraction from self. An unhealthy body and mind is an unhealthy soul. Financial and world stress don't allow us to focus properly. Coupled with the poor diet and poor food in our body, the chemicals in our body are a distraction from who we are and who we're supposed to be. And we're stressed out. Like, money stress is one of the biggest things. And look how much debt there is. You can't even get out of college without like $100,000 or more in debt. And then you got to have a car, you got to have a house or rent, you got to eat. I mean, money is a major problem of not having enough money. So you literally, when you get out of college, you got to go to work just to pay for your freaking debt. And it's stressful because every day you got to be there. You call out sick, you're missing a day of work. If you're not doing good at your job and you get pressure from your boss, or you don't like your boss, or you don't like your job, or whatever it is, you're not making enough money to cut it, then you got to find a new job and start all over again. Financial stress is probably the worst stress there is out there. I hate financial stress. It doesn't allow for me to function at a high level because I'm constantly worried if I'm going to be able to eat my next meal or take care of my kids or pay for my house or pay for my car. I'm going to be living on the street. That is one stress in the world. One. That doesn't include the stress of the C-19, of war, of terrorists, of people driving on and texting on their phone, of whatever else stress, whatever, family stress, your family's sick, or your grandmother's going to pass away, your mom and dad are sick, whatever it is. There's so many stresses in this world. And it's made that way so we can't focus on here and here. And then we feed ourselves with the wrong food, and we really can't focus here. And we're really stressed out because we really have the wrong things infiltrating our mind, from the television to the food we eat, from the sports and the entertainment and Hollywood and all that, to not eating oranges and drinking the right fluids. So you wonder why I push this water so much? Because we need to be healthier so we have more clarity. Because we've been distracted from that, just like the Romans were. We need to get back to the way we used to be. It's called mind manipulation. And if you've never read the book, it's interesting. I've talked to a few people who've never read the book 1984 by George Orwell or Animal Farm. It amazes me they've never read those two books. I mean, the guy predicted the exact scenario that's going on today, and he wrote them, what, 1947, 1949? He predicted this was going to happen, and that's what's happening. So we got a lot to think about. We got a lot to consider. So again, if you all have any questions, concerns, comments, you think I'm not spinning truth, you got corrections to make on things that I've said today, I welcome that stuff. You can comment in the comment section. We can create a dialogue. You can email me at logicalhippie@gmail.com. Go to my Facebook page at Light News. Get a hold of me, talk to me. I will talk back to you. We can have a good conversation. We can maybe discuss what's going on in the world, and I can help you with your health and help you have a better mindset. Be strong-willed. Be ready to take on the world and put the right things in your body and take care of your friends and your family, because the point of this is life and love. That's why we're here. So you all have an awesome day. I'm going to continue mine. I got a lot to do as usual. So we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.